Bro, our whole life purpose for the last 2 months have been this fight. Time away from family, like, do I really want to be here all the time? No, but this is what it requires if you want to be great.
A lot of champions training here. Great family, boxing family around the world.
From former world champions like Claudio Morero here to guys that are coming up, and developing. There's undefeated guys, former world champions, current, world contenders.
There's like room there and everyone just stays in here, all different fighters, so it's a fight gym, It's not a boxing class gym, it's a fight gym.
The most dangerous thing Tim Tszyu may have done wasn't stepping into the ring with Errol Spence Jr. It was acting like the 3-year layoff didn't matter. And trust me, boxing fans are absolutely losing their minds over this because what started as a simple comeback story has suddenly turned into something much bigger, much messier, and honestly, way more dramatic than anyone expected. See, for months, the narrative seemed straightforward.
Somebody who's gonna get me up for the challenge, and they said, "What about Tim Tszyu?"
Errol's been out 3 years. You've been in championship bouts. You've been in wars. You've been very active. Do you think Errol made a mistake by picking you in his comeback fight?
Yeah, it's definitely not recommended. To go straight into the firing line. It would have been better to start off slowly, but on his caliber, he feels like he doesn't need tune-ups, which is fair enough. But yeah, it's going to be fireworks from the open.
Errol Spence Jr., one of boxing's most respected names, was preparing to return after a long absence. Tim Tszyu was looking for the biggest statement win of his career. Simple, right? Wrong. Because the moment these two started talking, the entire storyline shifted. Suddenly, this wasn't just a fight. This became a battle between memory and momentum, experience versus activity, legacy versus opportunity. And if you think that's where the drama ends, you haven't been paying attention. Because while fans were busy arguing about who wins, another conversation quietly started taking over the boxing world. What if this fight isn't actually about winning at all? What if it's about proving something much deeper? Stay with me because this is where things get wild. Reports suggest Tszyu looked at this matchup and immediately saw opportunity. Not just a chance to beat a famous opponent, but a chance to completely rewrite his position in boxing.
And I'm coming for it all. And thank you again. Victory is mine.
Be back. I'm happy to put on a great show. I can't wait for July 26th to be fighting in Australia, to be fighting in front of his fans. I look forward to disappointment.
That's a very different mission. And every time Tszyu speaks, fans say he sounds like a man who believes the ending has already been written. But then Spence walks into a press conference looking calm, smiling, relaxed, almost suspiciously relaxed. And suddenly people start asking the question nobody can answer. Why does Errol Spence Jr. seem so comfortable? Breaking news.
Been working hard in the background. He's got a new team, new training regime, new training processes, and he knows to be the best, you've got to fight the best.
They got sparring today. The kids sparring today, so it's pretty cool. Every Friday they have it on. Oh yeah, the champion. We used to have this when I grew up, when I was like 13, 14, 15, and to see the same stuff happening here, sparring days, everyone from different gyms coming along, and it gets real cool, man. It's a cool vibe. First time we came to the gym, we just felt so welcomed, you know, and I think that's what allowed me to stick here. And
Well, not actual breaking news, but the kind of development that makes boxing fans refresh social media every 5 minutes. The more footage people saw from Spence's camp, the more confused they became. According to online reactions, fans expected rust. They expected hesitation. They expected signs of a fighter returning from a long absence. Instead, they saw sharp combinations, smooth movement, and confidence that only made the mystery bigger. And that's the problem. Nobody knows which version of Errol Spence Jr. is showing up. Not the fans, not the analysts, maybe not even Tim Tszyu. And when uncertainty enters boxing, chaos usually follows. Then another twist arrives.
Since the Crawford fight, yeah. 3 years, maybe 3 years. That's a good fight for him to come back, because Tim Tszyu is also not at his prime anymore. He's been hurt, he's been knocked out. So that's actually a pretty good matchup for a return. It's also a good matchup for Tim. If he beats Errol Spence,
big name,
he gets another shot at bigger. So that's a good matchup for both, actually. But he's going to Australia, so that's a little iffy there.
No, plus when you travel that far, it takes a long time to adjust to the weather, the food, the time. Yeah,
that could be a little tricky, but matchup-wise,
The location, Australia. Suddenly what looked like a neutral sporting contest transformed into a pressure cooker. Reports suggest many observers believe the crowd could become a major factor. Every successful Tszyu moment could sound like an earthquake. Every Spence mistake could feel 10 times bigger. And just when you think that favors Tszyu completely, another narrative crashes into the conversation. What if the pressure is actually on him? Think about it. Tszyu isn't walking into enemy territory, he's walking into expectations. Fans are expecting fireworks. Fans are expecting dominance. Fans are expecting a statement. Sometimes carrying a nation on your shoulders weighs more than carrying a championship belt. And this is where the story flips again. Because analysts
for Tim Tszyu against Errol is going to be that jab. What does he do against that busy, constant jab
Errol
on Errol's
jab,
side?
right?
Yeah, Errol just keeping that jab in his face.
Yeah.
When Bomac prepared for Terrence, he said that's the number one thing we got to take away from him. He fights off his jab. He gets confidence off he builds off his jab. He dominates you off the jab. So take the jab away, and we got the fight won.
Right.
Tim Tszyu is not Terrence Crawford.
Right.
So I don't know how he deals with that jab. Again, I think Errol's bigger than him. He's at his best, busier than him. But Robert Garcia said today he thinks Errol won't have anything left by the time they do make that fight.
He's really like one of those master kung fu artists, but in boxing. You know what I mean? So he's a masterful boxer. You know?
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of things that we're looking at a Tim Tszyu that doesn't have that.
keep talking about activity versus inactivity. Tszyu has been active. Spence has been away. Sounds simple. Except boxing history has never respected simple explanations. Fans have seen active fighters lose. Fans have seen veterans return stronger. Fans have seen predictions explode spectacularly on fight night. So every time somebody says they know exactly what's going to happen, another expert appears and completely tears apart the argument. The result? Nobody agrees on anything. And somehow that makes this fight even more fascinating. Then came the training footage, and if you blinked, you missed what fans were obsessing over. Tszyu looked focused, determined, disciplined.
Get comfortable, be able to just be in the place where I'm going to be fighting.
And what have you been doing in terms of training? ramping things up?
Yeah, no. Well, the thing is, we're so far away. Yeah, we're so close as well. So the main thing for me is just to be able to not burn out. And yeah, we're taking it day by day. I feel much stronger. My fitness, my gas tank is much better. And then the main thing is, I get excited and I just want to go hard, but you gotta be smart.
But online speculation started noticing something else. A different energy, a different approach, a different rhythm. Reports suggest many supporters believe his new training environment has unlocked another level. Whether that's true remains to be seen, but the belief itself is becoming part of the story. Because confidence is contagious. The moment enough people start believing a fighter has evolved, the conversation changes. Suddenly, every punch looks sharper. Every workout looks more intense. Every interview sounds more convincing. And right as that momentum started building, Spence dropped another reminder of who he is. A reminder that before all the questions, before all the doubts, before all the debates, there was a reason people considered him one of boxing's elite names.
I think a lot of people see it as a 50-50. Both fighters been through a lot. Spence had just too big of a layoff. Nobody, that's the biggest question mark. When your layoff is long, no one's seen you. They don't know what version of you that they're going to get. And of course, they're going to analyze you off of your last performance. Your last performance was not that good. So what version of you are we going to see, But, well rested, if you take care of your body, you recover, you get your mental game straight, athletes can make tremendous comebacks, tremendous turnarounds. So we just got to see. But, Tim Tszyu, he's been having some little tune-up fights. He's trying to work with new trainers and, enhance his overall ability in the ring as a boxer. So it's going to be interesting, but, we know he's vulnerable. He's been dropped a lot. He's been hit and he's been, stopped. So both of them, have some battle scars, let's say, So for that reason, I think Tim Tszyu has the advantage of activity, and then Spence has the advantage of pedigree, right? He's been...
Cue another dramatic interruption because this next part feels almost scripted. Analysts began focusing on one weapon, one tool, one recurring theme, the jab. Over and over again, discussions kept circling back to the same question. Can Tszyu deal with it? It's almost funny at this point. Entire breakdowns, entire debates, entire predictions seem to revolve around one simple concept. Yet sometimes boxing really is that simple. One weapon changes everything. One adjustment changes everything. One moment changes everything. And here's where the narrative becomes genuinely unpredictable. Keith Thurman and other observers have described the fight as almost 50-50. Think about that. A comeback fighter with major questions versus a hungry contender with his own vulnerability. Nobody is entering this fight without uncertainty. Nobody is entering this fight with complete answers, which means both men are simultaneously dangerous and vulnerable. That's a terrifying combination. Then the internet did what the internet...
he's really done more, been in the ring with more world-class fighters, and had some victories against solid world-class fighters where Tim Tszyu has not been as victorious when the opposition really hits that A class, So that's the way I break down the fight. I say Tim Tszyu staying in motion benefits him, but the pedigree and being an Olympic boxer, just different overall things that favors Spence. But it's a solid 50-50 because they both just have some questions that need answers, and we'll get our answers.
Net always does. It turned the entire event into competing theories. One side says Spence's experience will be too much. Another says Tszyu's activity gives him the edge. Another says the crowd decides everything. Another says none of that matters once the bell rings. And somehow every theory sounds believable for about 5 minutes until another one appears. But wait, because this may be the biggest twist of all. What if fans have been looking at this matchup completely backwards? What if the real story isn't whether Spence can defeat Tszyu? What if the real story is whether either fighter can escape the expectations surrounding them? Think about it. If Spence wins, people will celebrate the comeback. If he loses, people will point to the layoff. If Tszyu wins, people will call it a career-defining victory. If he loses, critics will question whether he was truly ready for the elite level. In other words, both fighters are carrying invisible opponents into the ring. Expectations, narratives, pressure, legacy. And those opponents never stop punching.
I feel like that, possibly favors a fighter.
Tim Tszyu, because he already from a higher division, when welterweights are adding more weight, a lot of times they're just giving themselves an excuse to be slower, in my opinion, because let's say the fight's at 158, right? And then they're going to rehydrate, right? So he's going to be 168, 173 by the time he gets in the ring.
That's why this fight feels different. It's not just about technique. It's not just about power. It's not just about rankings. It's about identity. It's about proving who you are when everyone else thinks they already know the answer. And every interview, every workout, every stare down has only made the mystery deeper. Because neither man looks uncertain. Neither man sounds uncertain. Neither man is behaving like someone who expects defeat, which means somebody is about to have their reality checked in the most public way possible. Or maybe, just maybe, the biggest surprise is still hiding in plain sight. Because reports suggest fans keep treating this as a battle between comeback and momentum. But what if that's the distraction? What if the hidden storyline is that both fighters are actually standing at the exact same crossroads? One fighting to reclaim his place, the other fighting to earn his. Different journeys, same destination. And suddenly the entire narrative changes. Suddenly this isn't veteran versus challenger. Suddenly this isn't experience versus youth. Suddenly this becomes two fighters risking everything for validation. That's why the tension feels so different. That's why the anticipation keeps growing. That's why every new training clip sparks another argument. Because deep down, nobody truly knows what happens next. And maybe that's the final reveal nobody wants to admit. The biggest mystery in boxing right now isn't whether Errol Spence Jr. can complete the comeback. It isn't whether Tim Tszyu can secure the signature win. It's whether all the assumptions surrounding this fight have distracted us from what's actually happening. Because while fans have been debating activity, layoffs, crowds, pressure, and predictions, both fighters have quietly been preparing to shatter somebody's expectations. The only question is whose expectations get shattered first. So let me ask you this. Are we watching a comeback story, a breakthrough story, or have we all completely missed the real story hiding in front of us the entire time?